So yes, I got my purpose kind of wrong. I had been tricked by my mind into living a limited version of my purpose, almost like a diluted, watered down version of what I could be doing. But it's brilliant, really, because it's kind of led me to having this deep realization of what my true purpose is. And it all started obviously with a wake up call when I was 20 to look at anxiety in a completely different way. So I thought my purpose was to help as many people free themselves from anxiety as possible, just as I did. And this sounded great. And I lived that as the truth. And it's helped thousands of people with coaching, the podcast, and social media. And I get messages all the time from people letting me know what my work has done to help them, which is absolutely wonderful. And this reinforced that I was living my truth until I had my awakening. By the way, you are listening to the Mindset Change podcast. I am your host, your coach, your mentor, your teacher, Paul Sheppard. If you've not yet subscribed to this show, please do. So I promise you, you don't want to miss out on the amazing content that could change your life coming your way. Now, since awakening, I realized something about my purpose and about all of our purposes. There's only one true ultimate purpose. Now, purpose seeking itself can feel very frustrating. I know I spent a long time trying to work out what my purpose was, what I thought it should be, based on values, various exercises, etc. And that can be useful. I'm not saying don't do that. Of course, find out more about yourself and what you want to do in life. That's a wonderful thing to do, and that can give you a sense of purpose. But often you can feel like an absolute failure if you've not managed to find that one vocation, that one activity that will make you feel fulfilled or transform the world and be an incredible legacy. That's quite a lot of pressure, right? And yes, it can be wonderful in life if you manage to find a vocation that ticks some of those boxes or just makes you feel good inside. But that's not the ultimate purpose, what I'm referring to, no matter how it feels, as I found out. Now, I was reminded of the ultimate purpose recently by an excellent social media post from the mind architect, Peter Crone. I'm a big fan of his work. I've invited him to come onto this show, and he has agreed and booked himself in. So, very exciting. But in this post, Peter says that the only purpose you have as a human being is to break free from the human constraints you were born with. Your purpose isn't your vocation or what you feel is your calling. It's to break free, to be present, not caught up in the diatribe of your monkey mind that creates suffering and limits your life. How powerful is that? Your purpose is to break free from your human constraints. And I agree with this. But I would also add that it's also more about realizing that you are already free. Remembering and revealing to yourself that you are already free. And that simple shift in awareness to the present moment where you are free can begin to help you connect with the truth of who you are. And the more you do this, the more you begin to reveal to you your own truth. Not my truth, not Peter's truth, nor anyone else's truth, but your truth. And that is an absolute game changer for life. Because how many people are listening to themselves, connecting to themselves, and living from life from their own truth? Are you? The power of meditation, mindfulness, and giving yourself the space and time to allow your truths, your insights, your wisdom to come to the surface is one of the best investments and gifts you could ever give yourself. But yet it's something that a lot of people struggle with. And there's a reason for that. I'll just go into that very briefly, but you have a series of parts of the brain called the default mode network. The more unhealthier it is, the more you ruminate, the more you feel anxious and stressed, and the more you have a distracted mind. So meditation, mindfulness is going to be super hard. But you also have an amazing part of the brain, or parts of the brain, that are called the central executive network. And that enables you to focus, enables you to be present. Your intuition, flow states, your wisdom come from here. And the more you exercise that part of the brain through meditation, mindfulness, etc., the more it develops like a muscle. And you find yourself naturally feeling more peaceful, more still, more intuitive, and more awake. So just to add, the default mode network apparently houses your ego, your self-beliefs, your identity, your narratives. And it's amazing how when you exercise your central executive network and help the default mode network become healthier and more quiet, how you begin to discover your own insights, your own truths, begin to have the space to rise to the surface. Now, Peter Crone talks about breaking free of your human constraints. The step before that, I believe, is remembering who you are. That's the ultimate purpose. When you remember who you are, you can then break through of your human constraints. Think about what's holding you back right now in life. What thoughts, what feelings, what beliefs you have. And then just imagine them becoming quieter, more distant, less relative, insignificant. That's what I experienced. And it's an absolute game changer. And this is what awaits you too. And the fact that you're here listening to this suggests that you're getting yourself ready to begin to do the same. Now, let me read you a quote from Sir Alan Watts, the famous philosopher. And he says, "The meaning of life is just to be alive. It is so plain and so obvious and so simple. And yet everybody rushes around in a great panic as if it were necessary to achieve something beyond themselves." Now, my interpretation of this quote is that Sir Alan Watts is pointing at the seeking and rushing around to have a purpose, when in fact, just stopping, pausing, taking a deep breath and being fully present, embracing life exactly as it is, instead of resisting, instead of fighting, instead of trying to change it, instead of racing through life because of the stories in your mind pushing you to try to get to that elusive point in the future where you think you will be happier, where you say you will finally be satisfied, but yet it's a total delusion. Have you ever got to that point in life where you thought you'd be happy and then your mind has already begun to jump to what's next? It's such a clever mindset trap, and one that's your rite of passage to break free from. Now, the gateway to realizing your truth is going to be through your mind. And often your suffering is the pathway to that gateway, the pathway to freedom. Because without that suffering, often we don't begin to look within to find the answers to ease that suffering. For me, my anxiety, my panic attacks, was the pathway to freedom. And it totally was, even though I wouldn't have appreciated it at the time. But it was. It was my wake-up call. Think about what you're going through right now. Is it getting you to listen to a podcast like this? Are you seeking answers, wanting help, wanting support? That is fantastic. So many people just suffer in silence, but yet you're doing something about this. The main obstacle you face is believing that you are your thoughts, you are your feelings, your beliefs, you believe your mind, and you believe you are your identity. But you are not. You are not your thoughts. You are not your feelings. You're not your beliefs. You're not your mind. You're not your identity. These have been given to you. This creates your dream state, the matrix, if you like, and it's an essential part of the human experience. And as I mentioned earlier, it's your rite of passage to remember who you are and to break free. That is the ultimate mindset change. And there's a part of you which is fluctuating, which is guiding you as an energy, as intuition, to experiences and content to keep pointing at awakening. So if you're not your thoughts, you're not your feelings, you're not your beliefs, you're not your identity, what are you then? You are what is aware of your thoughts. Have you ever done a mindfulness exercise and you're watching your thoughts and you're observing your feelings and you're aware of the beliefs appearing inside your mind? That's who you are. You are that awareness, that consciousness. And when you begin to experience life from that place of being, life is a very different experience altogether. You are the infinite awareness. You are the universe, a consciousness that's having this experience. And I know that sounds odd to some of you, and some egos will dismiss this altogether, which is fair enough. But don't believe me. Find out for yourself. I've been full-on atheist before, wanting to know the truth, demanding proof. And my awakening experience gave me exactly that. But it's my experience, not yours. And all you can do is begin to invite that into your life. And I promise you, despite some of the fears the mind can come up with, I know I thought I was going to lose friends, I was going to change my career completely, which it has to some degree, but in a good way. What if I lost my partner? What if I became unrelatable? It's been nothing like that at all. And it's 6 months in? And it's still an incredible journey where I am learning so much. So Locke Kelly, the spiritual teacher, asks a brilliant question as a glimpse into your true nature. And the question is, what's here right now when there are no problems to solve? There's a sense of peace and stillness that often is experienced before the mind tries to work out what it needs to solve next. We have minds that are constantly trying to problem solve. But right here, right now, when there are actually no problems to solve this very second, what's here to be experienced? And I also love this question from spiritual teacher Adyashanti. And he asks, who am I before a thought tells me who I am? And it's a trickier one to some degree, but it points at something else being who you are before your thinking mind tells you who you are. And you can explore connecting to your true nature in meditation. The more you exercise your central executive nervous system and help calm down your default mode network, those insights will come to the surface. And I love the quote by philosopher Harold Thurman. He says, there is something in every one of you that waits and listens for the sound of the genuine in yourself. It is the only true guide you will ever have. And if you cannot hear it, you will all of your life spend your days on the strings that someone else pulls. Who wants to be a puppet to other people's systems, ideas, beliefs, and conditioning? Time to break free? What do you think of this from Michael Bernard Beckwith, the spiritual teacher? You cannot be your authentic self without becoming intimate with your true nature, without going beyond personality, cherished beliefs, likes and dislikes. To discover your core self, you must be willing to break the agreements you have made with mediocrity. The moment you stop running the racket of staying small to please society, family, friends, or bosses, your original face will start to come into focus, and you will know who you are and what you really are as an emanation of the Universal One. As you come into an understanding of your true essence, you will automatically know how you are to express it on the planet. And I know that feeling. You know, that urge, that pull I've had, just to point the way. That's all I do. I give people tools, systems, and techniques to quieten down those parts of their brain that are distracting them so they can hear their truth. And what an honor to be in a position to do that. So if you're hearing this, you have been drawn here by that part of you wanting to wake you up. And it's time to begin cutting the strings of your past conditioning and set yourself free. I'm here to help you. There are plenty of other teachers, mentors, coaches who are in similar positions. They're also here to help you. You are not alone. Do what you can to wake up to the truth of who you really are. It will be a gift that keeps on giving. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope you've got a lot from it. If you have any comments or you'd like to leave me a review, please do so in Spotify and Apple reviews. It will be absolutely lovely to hear from you. And thank you to everyone who continues to do that with each episode. It really is appreciated. Have a wonderful, peaceful, and present day.